Hello everyone, this is Kubo and this is my laundry talk. Hello, this show is for my language improvement, nothing else. So I will talk whatever I want to talk. If you learned English or if English is your second language, I'm sure you feel this way or you have felt this way. So today I'm going to talk about the importance of expressing and also the wall that we face of like second language. Meaning, I'm from Japan and Japanese is mother tongue. Since I was, a baby, I have felt things, I went through stuff in Japanese. So it's very easy for me to articulate where I'm at, what I feel, what's funny to me, what I want, how I should behave, which I don't like how I phrased it. Anyhow, I'm more familiar with the environment in Japanese. Like environment meaning like anything in general. And then I am now in Canada. English is my second language. So how I feel, what I want to do, what I demand, I need to express those things in English, of course. And that's fine, or that's great. I'm happy that I am able to do those things, and I am definitely hopeful, or sometimes I feel easiness when I express something in English. For example, my sexuality. When I talk about my sexuality in English, it's much easier for me to express those things, and I think it's because I wasn't out when I was in Japan, but I was fully out when I started living in Canada. So I have vocabulary for it. I know what to say about certain things about my sexuality, and I think I'm more familiar with those in English than in Japanese. So going back to the story, at the end of the day, everything is expressing yourself, what you want and everything. And in English, my vocabulary is still limited. Like, I'm proud of myself, proud of where my English is at. However, not the surface level, something visible, but more like an emotional side. Whenever I feel struggle, whenever I feel a little bit of happiness, whenever I feel some sort of frustration, I don't always have vocabulary for those subtleness. I know the word frustration, but I'm not necessarily able to articulate what kind of frustration I have. Or maybe frustration is not necessarily what I feel, but that's the only way for me to describe those emotions, so I rely on those limited vocabularies. So there's definitely a wall that what I feel and how I can express how I feel. So that's the meaning of the wall of second language that I feel. And then going back to the main topic, which is the importance of expressing. I at certain point, I do believe I stopped expressing certain frustration, because when I try to express that, I always felt like people take it in a different way than I was wanting to. It's not about trying to make other people think certain way, but more like I wanted to share my emotion, like what I feel, but what they ask me, like, oh, does it mean this? Does it mean that? And whenever they say that, I definitely feel like they are not quite understanding where I'm at. Then I refrain myself from explaining more details somehow, and then once I stop saying that, my emotion doesn't exist other than internal level. And then if you leave it as it is, again, it never goes anywhere, and then sometimes it doesn't even go into my brain, if that makes any sense. So I feel a little bit numbness towards those feelings. Then if you continue that way, the imagination you have is gonna be also limited, at least in me. I feel certain things, but I don't have vocabulary, so I don't try not to tell those things, and then over certain period of time, those emotion goes away or stay undescribable, so it just doesn't exist in this world, just internally, and disappear. So now I think about those things. And then the other day I met my old friend and I spoke Japanese all day. How much I can feel, how much emotions comes up, how much frustration I can describe, explain. I was quite surprised. And I never known how much emotions went away. I never noticed how nice it is to be able to tell people how I feel. Yeah, so and that's the main reason I wanted to talk about this, because again, I met my old friend, I spoke Japanese, I was immensely surprised what kind of emotions came up or how much positivity I felt after sharing what I feel, and noticed that how much less I can express in English. So yeah, let's talk about it. There's another thing that why I noticed those difference is that I'm reading a book in English right now, and it's called, let me see, I'm reading, like, I used to take class from this author in my university. The name of the book is A Beginner's Guide to the Deep Culture Experience. So it's regards to people who went abroad or went or dive into foreign culture. It doesn't have to be foreign country, but just the foreign culture, and how they adapt to new situation, new environment, and how people do not adapt to those situations, or how do they conquer frustration, etc. So it's just all about the adaptation to a new culture. And how they describe about all the stages, how they change their forms and unite with a new culture. It describes how what I've been through is described so well, the emotional shift I have experienced. It's very inspiring to me too, just because, again, how much emotions I can describe in English is still very limited. I never noticed until I started reading this book. And it tells me, oh yes, this is exactly what I felt. But I can feel those things in English. I'm sure people who speak English as second language also can feel this whenever you gain new vocabulary and be able to express how you feel. It's crazy feeling. it's very strong. And the relief, even though, let's just say, the emotion itself is negative, but being able to articulate those emotions is very meditative or very self-healing. I feel like my emotions are noticed by me, if that makes any sense. So again, I definitely cherish this book, and also made me realize that how much mask I put on in my emotions just because I won't be able to express and no one will be able to understand. Yeah, so I'm just so impressed by book and then also my progress. And another thing about the world of second language, I think this is not for everyone, but it's the case for me. I tend to build up like such a big pride on myself. And pride is great. It's great to have sense of confidence or sense of authority to what I put out there. I love to make my expression as sophisticated as possible. But at the same time, being proud or building up too much pride could be a little bit harmful or make those language barrier or language wall thicker and higher. Just because I constantly am afraid of making mistakes. I constantly afraid to be wrong. And this is not a great feeling, just because this actually narrows down the opportunities for me to express or speak out. And especially in my case, I am definitely better at outputting things rather inputting. If you're better at inputting, expressing doesn't always necessarily big problem, I would assume. But for me, again, it's very important for me to keep putting out something, and then, but because of the fear of doing something wrong, expressing misspeaking, I give less opportunity to myself that I don't know, just anything about it. It could be just talking to other people. It could be in a discussion at the office. I definitely give myself less opportunities to speak up and then say something just because I'm afraid of misspeak. And then my input is usually happens when I express something, and then if I make mistakes or if someone gives me their insight on top of my expression or whatever the output that was. And I definitely, again, give myself less opportunities, so less time to express something, and that leads to me the where I was going for this opportunity. So basically I stopped speaking, but how I feel my worth is more from outputting, so I feel much less self-worth as well. It just goes into the really bad cycle, and I don't like that. I really don't like that. And that's why like I appreciate or I cherish this laundry talk, because this is my way of expressing a little bit easily, because it's not in front of people. So even though I make mistakes, I can learn when I'm editing, and still there's a certain kind of pressure because I'm gonna post this in public so people will see. So, and I definitely do need that kind of little pressure to be seen, so that I have more motivation to continue as well. But again, this will allow me to express a little bit more freely instead of in front of people. And this actually leads to my daily life as well. I definitely feel more confident about daily conversation as well. I definitely feel like I am growing through this experience. So this is great. But again, I do less output in a real life, and I'm not good at, I don't feel so motivated by inputting. It's just like, for example, watching YouTube, Instagram Reels, reading all other people's entertaining posts. That gives me more anxiety than inspiration. So and then if you feel that way, you feel more closeted, more in the box or in my shell. It just like goes nowhere. And then again, because I don't have opportunity to express myself or output, I feel more insecure about language and less things to be able to articulate to my frustration. It's a bad cycle, so I mask my emotion, it goes away, and then becomes unknown frustration in my head. If I can describe those things and share with my family, share with my partner, share with my friends, I'm sure, especially for me, it's easier to dissolve. And once I sleep and wake up after talking, I'm done, I'm fine, I'll be good to go. And I'm not there yet, but I'm now finally realizing that I need that. And even though I make mistakes, I want to express how I feel. Delivery might not be as entertaining as when I talk about my struggle in Japanese, when I talk about any episode about my story or my episode about my life. When I speak in Japanese, I try to make it a little bit humorous, and then I like it, because lighten up the story, and because I don't want the sorrow for my struggle. What I want is, oh yeah, that's funny, it happens, and I hear you, I understood, and that's something I crave. Not the pros, not the advice. I think that's how I typically dissolve my stress. Now I'm remembering, but my English not there yet, and then I'm not feeling confident about the quality of my how I tell my struggle. But I think this is a great first step to realize those things, and I am so excited to keep doing this video, keep expressing, give myself more opportunities, and eventually, hopefully, I will be able to do everything as I do in Japanese. Well, I guess it's not about comparison, so let's take that back. I'm hopeful that I will more confident about my English. Again, my English is great, but I want more control over my language. Alright, let's do our best. See you soon. Bye. You know what? Like, before shooting this video, I thought of this topic and I was so excited to talk about this. Like, because I don't always have idea what to talk. So usually what happens for the shooting is just whatever I think will just go with the flow. So when that happens, it's kind of easier to construct stories because I don't have nothing to do next, nothing to say next. So let's do 1 and 2 and 3. But today's topic, like, I knew I had an idea, I wanted to talk about this, and then there's several things that I wanted to talk about, or the several points. But when I face the situation, somehow I'm overwhelmed by those bullet points, and then am I following everything, am I making sense, and somehow it becomes a little bit chaotic. So I'm not really happy with the content, or I'm not happy with the structure of the story I've done today, but I'm happy with the content. Content was great. This is something I thought of last night when I was feeling a little bit nice. Everyday learning, everyday learning. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to see all those progress, so what can we say, hey? Okay, almost done, almost done.